program. We hope you enjoyed last month's series on independence. We have learned that we need to be dependent on Jesus Christ, and this will give us true independence from this world. We also learned that we need to be dependent on what our roles are when it comes to our parents, to our neighbors, and our community, that we are actually dependent on each other. But this month we're focusing on Easter, as we know that Easter is coming, and it's not just about the bunnies and the Easter eggs, but actually about the story about the man who died for us on the cross, who was the perfect Passover gift. So today we're starting off the series by looking into one of a good friend of Jesus called Peter. If you want to learn more, let's prepare our hearts as we join into worship.
God will make a way where there seems to be no way. He works in ways we cannot see. He will make a way for me. He will be my guide, hold me closely to His side. With love and strength for each new day, He will make a way. He will make a way. By a roadside in the wilderness, He'll lead me. Rivers in the desert will I see. Heaven and earth will fade, but His word will still remain, and He will do something new today. Oh, God will make a way where there seems to be no way. He works in ways we cannot see. He will make a way for me. He will be my guide, hold me closely to His side. With love and strength for each new day, He will make a way. He will make a way.
We find our scripture reading in John 18, verse 15 to 18.
Simon Peter and another disciple were following Jesus because this disciple was known to the high priest. He went with Jesus into the high priest's courtyard, but Peter had to wait outside at the door. The other disciple, who was known to the high priest, came back, spoke to the girl on duty there, and brought Peter in. "You are not one of the disciples, are you?" the girl at the door asked Peter. He replied, "I am not." It was cold, and the servants of the officials stood around a fire they made to keep warm. Peter also was standing with them, warming themselves.
Peter is one of the main characters throughout the story of Jesus. He was one of Jesus' disciples who really loved Him and wanted to follow Him and do right by Him. Peter also wanted to say the right things. He wanted to be in Jesus' good books. But Peter didn't, it's almost like he didn't really grasp what it's really about. Peter was the one who said that he wants to walk on water when Jesus was walking. He was the one who said that Jesus was the Messiah, but it seemed like he didn't really understand what this implied. Peter wanted to say the right things at all the time. Peter didn't truly understand things yet, why Jesus had to come. A while before this part that we just read was when Jesus was arrested. Peter thought that he wanted to jump to Jesus' rescue and protect him from Judas and the soldiers who wanted to arrest him. Peter took the sword and cut off one of the men's ears, and Jesus healed him. And Jesus said to him, "The one that lives by the sword will die by the sword." Jesus didn't show that he didn't come to rule with the sword by power, but he had to come and do something different. And Peter didn't understand it. And just a while before that is where where Peter declared that Jesus was the Messiah. So clearly, Peter did not understand what Jesus came to do. Peter tried to get close to him, to protect him, maybe to actually see what was going on, just to hear if Jesus was okay. Because Peter really loved Jesus. He followed him. He wanted to. He he followed him. He said the right things. It's almost like he wanted to get Jesus' attention all the time. And standing or being close to Jesus wasn't out of his character. It was who he was. He wanted to be close to his friend and to see, to protect him, to see if he can learn something. The trick was when Peter Kay was standing there, someone recognized him by the way he was talking, the way he was, just by the way they saw him with Jesus. When someone said, "Aren't you part of his disciples?" This happened 3 times when people recognized him. But Peter was so terrified. Just imagine your friend is arrested and you feel so hopeless of not getting in touch or knowing how he's doing and not sure of what it's gonna happen or how things will turn out. The best that you want to do is you are terrified. You just want to be close. And when people ask you questions, it puts you under pressure. So at the time when this woman asked Peter or recognized Peter, Peter was so terrified because he didn't know what was the right answer at this time. And he just said no, he wasn't, because he was so afraid. He wasn't sure what's gonna happen with Jesus, or what's going to happen with him if he says that he was part of them. He was so terrified, scared of his life, scared of his friend's life, and what this implies for him. What does this mean for him? This is what we as Christians sometimes struggle with. We were so eager to talk and love and look like disciples like Jesus. We want to say the right things. We want to do the right things. Go to the church, go to youth, stand out so that people know that I am a Christian. The struggle is that when Jesus is not around or is not as visible anymore, then the true test comes. Then this is not when you want to see if Jesus is gonna nod if you say or do the right thing. When you are not sure about the circumstance, when things are starting to being questioned, and you stand there and you need to realize, or you are faced with a challenge. When circumstances are hitting you, what are you doing about it? This reminds me of this past week. I had a lot of conversations with young people who just say that they want to get educated or to just change their circumstances. They just want to become rich so that they don't have to struggle so much and so much. But this problem with that is quick fixes. It's not sustainable. To lose weight easily is not sustainable. It will be unhealthy for you. To get quick money is not sustainable. Whatever scheme you're following, if it's Forex or if the pyramid scheme or getting quick money, isn't the answer. Peter didn't want to betray Jesus, but the circumstances were so unsure. He just needed to protect him for a while. Just be careful. Like when you're in a difficult situation, when you don't feel on a high anymore, what do you do? What do you answer when you look like a Christian? When someone asks you, "Aren't you a Christian? Aren't you the one who said that you should speak truth at all times? Aren't you the one that says that we need to honor and love our parents?" Won't make sure that on our high, that our character or our actions against us, the first sign of fear is when you want to act to make your own solution. We need to stand up and do something about it. But when whether it has to do with your morals and values or with your Christian beliefs, when your character is being questioned, you need to make sure that you are not denying Christ, but actually that no one can hold it against you, but actually saying that you are a disciple. Peter at this time didn't deny Jesus by saying it, but his actions when he ran away he wasn't in sight when Jesus was crucified. He was so ashamed and he was hiding because he thought that it was the end. The thing is, when we sin or when we deny, when we go in our own ways, we always think that Jesus don't loves us anymore. But actually, the amazing story of Peter, which gives me hope and grace that I, even though I sin, that Jesus will forgive me. After Jesus' resurrection, Peter went back to what he knew. He went back to be a fisherman of catching fish. When Jesus said to him that, "Come and follow me and I will make you a fisher of men," Peter went back to what he was used to. And at this time, Jesus sat with him there. He didn't say, "Get out of your boat. Why did you not follow me? Where were you when I needed you?" Jesus on the cross, he cried out and said, "Father, please forgive them because they don't know what they're doing." He wasn't just praying for the soldiers. He was praying for Peter as well. Peter did not know what he was doing. And this is the prayer that Jesus is praying for us daily, that we don't know what we're doing, that we won't deny him and go back to what we know, but that we will actually stay there and actually be a witness. Because when he says that when Peter said to Jesus, "Don't wash my feet, I don't want you to wash my feet," at the Passover, the Last Supper, he said, "No, I'm not worthy." And Jesus said that when I came to serve and not to be served. This is what Jesus is saying to Peter, that when you follow me, it's not to be recognized and known, but it is the difficult times that you need to stand. That you won't get the rewards. You won't get and say, "You are the one that did that, the kind Peter. You did all of those nice things." But Jesus said that he came to serve, that it will be difficult. It will take everything from him. It won't be about him. It's not just knowing that he was with Jesus, but that he is known to be the disciple of Jesus. May we have the desire of always wanting to be associated with Jesus. The mistake that we make, we associate ourselves with churches, with cultures, but actually we need to be associated with Jesus. To say that you look like him, you talk like him, and may that be the witness. And when Jesus said to Peter that from today on, I will build the church, I will build my church on you. Meaning that not that you will be the one that will be served, but that because of what you believe, that these people will come to Jesus. People who will follow him because of what he says, because of who Peter is, because of what Peter lives for. Peter was afraid. He wasn't on the high, and Jesus wasn't near, the one who could have helped him, saying the right things. The privilege that we have today is that Jesus is with us. He is teaching us constantly through his word, through prayer, that he's teaching us. But he is challenging us. Now, like Peter, what type of witnesses are we? Just the ones that's associated with church, saying the right things, doing the right things, but not live or taking the responsibility of what it means to come and serve others. After Jesus went to Peter, and when Jesus said, sit with him in this boat, Jesus asked Peter, do you love me? And Peter said, Lord, you know I do. And Jesus answered him and said, feed my sheep. You go and feed them, teach them, give them whatever they need. You teach them, give them, feed them with the word that I have given you. Give that to the others. Amen.
By a roadway in the wilderness, He'll lead me. Rivers in the desert will I see. Heaven and earth will fade, but His word will still remain, and He will do something new today.